Hello and welcome to this episode of Therapist Talk. Joining me today is therapist Urfana Ayub. Welcome, Urfana.
Thank you.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Good.
Well, and how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for asking. I'm very well, thank you. Well, it's lovely that you're joining me for today's episode. So today's an opportunity for us to hear from you about you and your work. And I'm really interested to be speaking with you today to get a real sense of you as a therapist and the kind of work that you do. So to put you kind of into context for me and the viewers, do you want to give us an introduction about who you are and your work as a therapist?
Okay, thank you, Myra, for giving me the opportunity first. And my introduction is I'm a therapist, a clinical supervisor, a published author, a trainer, and at the moment I am part of Muslim Counselling Directory. And I am very honored and blessed to be part of this directory, I would say. And my work covers, as I mentioned, as a therapist, as a clinical supervisor. So I do deal with students, trainees, and qualified counselors, and also people from the public for therapy.
Yeah. So actually a really quite unique position in the field, because you're not just working directly with clients, but you're also supporting students and supporting other counsellors as well as a supervisor. So you're kind of seeing the profession from a few different angles.
Yes. And it's very interesting. I realized that when you are a therapist, you know, when you said different perspectives, you see a client and it is a different perspective. When you see a student who's training to become a therapist, then you know their journey and where they are sitting and what they are bringing, and then you see yourself in a completely different role. So yes, there are, you know, it's very interesting to see those dimensions. Very interesting.
Yeah. It prompts me straight away that in talking about you supporting students, because there are many people who interact with our network who are looking to train as therapists. You know, they come to the network, we take on members, and membership is applicable to trainee therapists. So straight away, in you being in that very kind of unique, privileged position of supporting students through their training, is there a piece of advice or something that you'd go, this is what I would love for students to know about, either when they start training or during their training?
Yeah, I think a lot of people say they wanted to be, they would like to be counselor, and I feel their understanding and knowledge prior to joining the course is very limited. And they're not fully aware what actually this training is consist of how this will impact them. So my advice is that, one, I personally believe this profession is not for everyone. It's not about I want to be. So for example, if I say I want to be a doctor, maybe I'm not for that field, but the desire is there. But maybe I'm not the right person for that field. So I would say exactly the same. Counseling, therapy, by name of it, you might think, oh yeah, fancy, I would like to be called as a counselor, or I want to be in this profession. But it's much more than that. So you have to really think why you want to be a counselor, the purpose behind your choosing this field. And are you the right person to actually come and offer the support to others? Because I've noticed a lot of trainees who are doing their hours because they are required for them to have the personal supervision, personal therapy, and then the supervision for their work. And a lot of them are going through so much past childhood traumas that I feel like they need to get through that first in order to actually come to this stage. And sometimes as a supervisor, you pick it up, and sometimes they realize themselves that actually these people, these students can be more dangerous to clients than offering them any support. So it's something, I would say this is a very, very sensitive field where you have to think very carefully where you're going, where you will end up, and will you be able to survive, consistently look after yourself and offer support. And this is a field where you have to really think about self-care.
Yes, self-care is a huge part of this, because absolutely, I agree with everything you've said, because I think there's something around, prior to undertaking the training, you're never going to be fully aware or prepared for recognizing the sheer amount of kind of emotional, mental toil it takes to do the work. And there's something about the emotional weight of working with clients, but in a way, there's a lot of emotional burden and toil and hard work to do even before you start seeing a client. So just to undertake the training, pre-clinical placement, there's a lot that we have to take on board. And I think I completely agree. I think you're really right in saying that the profession itself is not for everybody. And what I'm hearing is that it's kind of for two reasons. One is that there might be something going on for that student or potential trainee, for them to need to go and look at that first and take care of themselves first. So at the point of applying for training, it's not that they're not going to be any good at it, it's just that they're not ready yet. So there's that kind of potential trainee. And again, I've come across a lot of trainees in my years of delivering training as well, in which there'll be trainees that we kind of go, you'll be good, but just not yet. On the other hand, also what I'm hearing you saying is there are also some people that perhaps are just not suitable to it, because perhaps they're not aware that what's being asked of them in the job is not what they expect. For people that think it's advice giving, or think that it's, working through worksheets or something, that it's very prescriptive, or it's a program to go through, and it's not. And so it might not suit people for that reason as well.
I agree, Myra. And I also feel this is a field where you have, in a way, you have got huge responsibility of somebody's life, somebody's emotions, because you can, similarly, like if you can positively make some changes in their life, on the other hand, you can damage them as well. There is a big risk there. So I think I'm very mindful of those risks, and I'm very careful in offering this support when I'm working, because I find this, I've got heavy weight on my shoulder. I'm sitting on this chair. Somebody is coming, sitting in front of me, bringing their world to me. And it really scares me when sometimes client will come back and say, oh, Urfana, you remember you said this to me. You don't remember as a therapist, because your words, yes, you are thinking what you're saying, but sometimes the client can take those words so seriously, and then it brings it back to you. And I find the responsibility as is huge responsibility. So anybody coming to this field, I would say, really think about, is this the right field for me? And again, what Myra said, it's not that this field is not right for you. Maybe this time is not right for you. Maybe you need few more years, or just to prepare yourself a bit better to actually sit on that seat, and then take the burden, take the responsibility. And also always remember that at the end, you have to look after yourself. You're offering something, but then I love the example of, offering from an empty cup. So if your mug is empty, what are you going to offer? So you have to learn first, is my mug full or is it empty? Like you were asking, Myra, I took a long break, and the reason was my mug was getting empty. And I knew that I need some rest. I need to go for a holiday. I need to look after myself in order for me to be back and energetic and full of life and full of energy that I can actually offer again. I can't offer anything if I don't have it myself. So that's the main message I would say to the students.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
trainees,
Yeah, completely agree. So there might be people here watching going, well, I'm interested in becoming a therapist, but it's really to ask yourself if you're ready to do that right now, or what might you need to do between now and starting a training course. I'm curious, perhaps, again, because you are a trainer and a supervisor, once students are on a course, or even just before that, perhaps they're about to start training. So we've kind of got over the hurdles of, am I suitable and am I ready to do it? Let's now imagine there's a student here now who is ready to start training. They're about to start, or they've just started. What would your advice be for them then? I'm really curious then about, okay, we're on the training course now. How can students best support themselves or help themselves to do well in their training based on what you see in your students?
Okay, I would say self-awareness. That is the most important thing, I would say, the trainees, the students, or people who are interested to come to this field is, you need to know yourself first. A lot of people walk into this profession and they say, I thought I'm very self-aware. But the truth is, nobody I have came across who said, actually, I was wrong. I was shocked how less I knew about myself. When you get to this training, the whole training will make you realize that there's so many areas you didn't know about yourself. So many aspects of your life you were unaware of yourself. And that actually opens your eyes. You need to know, it's essential for you to know yourself in order to know and offer the support to others. So personal therapy can be very useful. I personally think therapy is something we all need all the time. All the time. If I could recommend, I will never recommend a paracetamol or anything else. I would say, people, please go find a therapist, and we all need it. And also to break the taboo that it's not because you need help and you need to sort out an issue, you need to look into, reflect into something. It's about your personal care, your self-care. You just need to talk to somebody about something's going on. And you just want to reflect in a safe place. You don't want somebody to judge, because we will go back to the families and people around us and friends. And there is a factor missing, which you get in your therapist. And that is the difference. So I think personal therapy and self-awareness, they are the two main points. I think they will help you to get to know you yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So for trainees or people looking to come to the field, it's about you raising or building your level of self-awareness and start personal therapy. Absolutely. Yeah.
They both can help.
Definitely. Yeah. So in terms of then thinking about perhaps you then in the context, of course, as being a therapist, then would you like to say more then about the type of therapy you do, the type of clients you work with, or the particular issues you work with?
I have been in this field from last 15-20 years. So on and off breaks. Now I'm in my private practice, and mainly I work with women and couples. I do marriage counselling as well, and I'm still studying. So studying is something I feel CPD is so important. If you think I'm a counsellor, I'm a therapist, I'm a clinical supervisor, I know everything, and you sit down, that's not the way to work. I think every case brings you and leaves you with something for your future personal development, which you need continuously. So that is something you need to be ready. You need to be ready. Again, it goes back to the students and trainees that, okay, after this qualification, I'm done. You're not done. This is a door opening, and that's where you start. That's not the ending, that's the beginning. So your desire to learn, continuously learn and move on, that is really, really important. So yes, I'm working with women, and that's my main area. Bereavement is my main area, I would say. I have, through my own personal loss, I think that was the area where I learned, developed, trained, And I feel like I have become not an expert, that, yeah, I would say, yes, I would say that's one of my specialist area. And over the years, I have worked, a lot of my time has been with rape crisis, child sexual abuse, domestic violence. They are my areas where I have worked for many, many years. So I feel like they are my expert areas. Relationships, attachments, I think that is something I have great interest in. Overall mental health, any area which affects your mental health, that is my area. I actually grab it. I feel like that's me. That's my area. And being a Muslim and a Muslim therapist, coming from an Islamic approach, I'm a student of Deen. I'm still learning, and I've done my trainings in Islamic counseling and psychology and Islamic marriage counseling and all that area. So I'm covered with my certificates and my qualifications that I can. So I think being a Muslim, the way Allah Ta'ala has put so much emphasis on the family system and how to keep our relationships, Sila Rahmi, I find the root of our society, the base of our society, of a Muslim family, is family. And from that family is all these attachments, all the relationships. And when we have broken relationships or damaged relationships, then they automatically affect our mental health. So I think that is a very close area to my heart, very close. And then when I say about students and trainees, I find them a very close part of me, because I became counselor when I was a mature student, and I remember the hardships I've gone through and the difficulties. So I feel like I have more soft corner for the trainees and students when they're going through that stages. And overall, any area, whatever comes to me. And again, marriage counseling is another thing, which is, I feel, to do with the relationships. I find that as a form of worship. I think the whole counseling, I see that as a ibadah. I don't see as a profession just for money. Definitely it's giving me money. Money is my job, but the added factor is my passion. That gives me sukoon, that gives me personal satisfaction. And that is why I do this job. And marriage counseling is, again, thinking about, if you can save one household, one relationship, and then children and the family and the rest of the people, I always do my prayer. I always pray for them in my salahs that, Allah, please, Allah Ta'ala, you're putting me in this chair, on this chair. Allah Ta'ala, you're putting me in this role. I'm nobody. I'm so blessed to be in that role, to support and help others. So make good use of me. So it's very passionate area. The whole work is I'm extremely passionate about this work. So that is why I just do this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've answered your question or if anything's missing there.
No, you definitely asked it. And what I'm really picking up on is that it's more than a job. Absolutely. It feels like this is a purpose. This is a calling. This is you doing good work at a much bigger picture, on almost like on a societal landscape of, if my role is to help people to heal their relationships, or to at least build happy, healthy relationships, then you're doing something at kind of a societal, systemic level here. Like, you're going into the very core of what actually builds society. And you're kind of doing that kind of one relationship at a time.
Yeah. And I do some group work, awareness work, and I feel like there is a need that we need to make people aware how much. What I want to say is about the whole concept of mental health. How important is that? I've always said this, that we are so keen to go to the doctor to get the medicine, injection and operations and all sorts, but we are not ready, or we are getting better. I would say with COVID, after COVID, mid COVID, I think things have changed. People have realized they need help and they are coming. But it needs to be promoted more. Mental health is equally important or more important than your physical health. When you're worried about something, you will start having your headaches, stomach aches, all sorts, all the physical symptoms comes in because of your mental state. They're all linked. And I always say, mind, body, and soul, they are all linked, they are interlinked. Please try to understand. But Alhamdulillah, people are moving on. People are more aware of these things now. They need to be more aware of this, because what's happening with the current society, the way things are, social media, mental health is getting worse and worse, and it will affect, and it will, by the look of it, the way the world is going, it will get more worse. If we don't look after ourselves, if we don't realize that we need help, and the taboo of going to a counselor or therapist, that don't tell anybody. I don't want anybody to know that I'm seeking counseling. I think, again, that needs to be understood as well, that it's not negative. It's not negative. If I go, I will be thinking about myself, and I'm not on my own. I've got a husband, I've got children, I've got family, I've got work. If I'm functioning well, then I am offering better. I am more productive. So I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not ashamed of myself that I'm going for therapy. I go for therapy wherever I need. I feel like, okay, let's go. I need few sessions. And that's like, I want to go to the restaurant. I really want to go with my friends to have, I want to buy a brand new bag, expensive branded something, because they are important things for me. They will make me happy. I'm saying these sessions will make you feel better. So spending money on the restaurant or bags or outfits, I'm spending money on few sessions, which will make me feel better, which will make me function better.
Yeah. What I absolutely love about what you're saying, it's this idea of this myth or fantasy that just because you're a therapist that you yourself don't need therapy. It's this idea of, no, we're human first. And so just by being human, alone is kind of enough of a reason to go for therapy. But this kind of myth or fantasy, as I was saying, that once you're a therapist, somehow you're fixed, somehow you're all sorted, or somehow you yourself don't need therapy. So I think it's, let's not dilute this point that even therapists need therapy, because we're all human and we all need that space to talk about what's going on for us.
Yeah, I would say, I think I will emphasize on this platform. When therapists, even with the therapist, I would say this message is for therapists, qualified counselors, that when we say we are receiving supervision, right? So you're receiving supervision and you think that's it, and it has covered, and I'm okay, and I'm managing very well. I fully don't agree with that. I think the supervision is not only enough. So when I say only, there are many cases which will stay with you. There are many cases which will disturb you, and you might need a bit extra. So yes, there are group supervisions. Yes, there is individual, your own supervisions, but then that might touch on something which is very personal. Where when I will have my supervisees, and they will bring something which I think this is supervision, but this little 10%, 5% is they need therapy. You do need therapy. Supervision will not cover everything. And again, there is where your self-care comes. Yes, you have done your tick box of, I've got my supervision done, I'm fully covered. I also I attend group supervision. So I'm part of few different organizations. I'm working in private practice. I choose the organizations I work with. I will have their group supervision. I will have my own personal supervision. But I still feel there are bits and bats where I think, oh, actually, I do need some more time. There's no harm in having extra session. And that is very, very important. So my message is to all the therapists, to look after yourself. And don't think that tick box of my group supervision, individual supervision has covered me. No. In every case, we know this field is emotional labor. So think about, I imagine people holding bricks, building work, really heavy work, which is physical. So when I compare that to my work, I get emotionally, when I say emotionally drained, I actually squeeze, I'm hand washing something and then I squeeze, or I'm squeezing an orange. And I feel this is how I feel after giving my, I can't say 100%, but 99%, whatever I can give to my client who's sitting in front of me, then I'm emotionally drained. And that's what I need to, that's why I say that is so, so important for all of us, whoever we are, therapists, supervisors, training, students, whoever we are, we really need to look after ourselves. If we need therapy, we need therapy. And there is no taboo, there is no stigma to say that actually I am receiving therapy. No. And that money which you spend, sometimes financially, people's like, oh, therapy is expensive, therapy is this. To get a good quality branded something, you do spend money for everything you like, for everything for your own comfort. Just think this is something which is more important to you. If this is working right, everything will be okay. This is how I think. So I think I'm the biggest advocate of personal therapy, of counseling. It's not because this is my profession. If I was not a therapist, I would say the same. People, please go. Please look after yourself. Please talk to somebody. A lot of people just suffer in silence. They don't even know how to talk to people. I mean, not in a negative manner. It's by, I'm talking about expression. They don't know how to express. And again, then it's all linked with the attachments and early attachments and relationships. And yeah, there is so much to explore. So much.
And as you're talking, what I'm thinking about, and it's all connected as well.
All
what you're talking about for yourself, my self-care, what you're talking about in terms of the advice you're going to give, you've already given to trainees and people thinking about training. It's also then connected to what you're saying to already trainees or already qualified therapists. There's something about, it's all about self-care and self-awareness.
Yes.
And the two kind of go hand in hand, but the more we are self-aware, the more we actually need, the more we recognize what we need for our self-care.
Yes.
And so it's kind of all connected, really. So there's something about, I think what you're really sitting with and kind of really sharing with us today is that to be a therapist and to work as a therapist, it's this kind of emotionally holistic undertaking from the moment you start your training all the way through. It doesn't end, because as you said, whether at the point of once you've qualified, it's still going, the journey still continues. And even when you're, of course, then qualified and many years qualified like you are, you're still continuing to develop. You're still on this kind of emotional journey. So there's something really important about to be a therapist is like a lifelong undertaking.
Definitely. And in simple words, when we say self-care, just question yourself. Who am I? That question is got so many sections to that when you will look for your answers. And you will be surprised. A lot of answers you don't know. What do I like? Who am I? How do I see myself in the mirror? How do people see me? There's so many questions. You will be so surprised to see that actually, I don't know. A lot of people, you ask them very simple questions, they'll say, I don't know. You think, how? I mean, you don't know. But how? And they'll say, oh, I've never thought about this. I don't know. And I think a lot of people are in that category. A lot.
So it's a really great, which we want to emphasize that question. So in thinking about our self-awareness, in order to kind of raise our own self-awareness, it's asking the question, who am I? Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah, what a great question to kind of end our chat today on. I'm going to go away and think about that for myself. Yes, who am I?
Yeah.
But also and kind of invite the viewers to also think about that for themselves. As you said, that question, that's applicable to everybody. If you're a client watching this, if you're a counsellor, if you're a wannabe counsellor, if you're a counsellor, supervisor, or a trainer, it's such a crucial question for us to be able to develop a level of self-awareness that then will kind of support us in our growth and development on this journey of being a therapist. Thank you so much, Urfana, for joining us today. And
very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.